majority of folks know how nasty colonialism was. However, they've been very effective at not contextualizing their current colonialist practices as colonialism. I genuinely did not know that this was so interconnected with Black liberation, not just Black liberation movements of the 60s and 70s, but even with Ferguson. This has been a well-kept secret. Everybody's asking me to talk about this, and I just don't know the facts yet. And then overnight, I learned the facts because that's how long it takes to learn the facts. Also, if you have a framework of white supremacy and colonialism, it fits perfectly in that framework. I'm educating my audience. I'm educating myself. I want to show up for Palestinians. We're doing this on Zionists' platform. Audience is like, I don't need to know about this. And I'm like, you're gonna fucking know about this. There's the people who are like, oh shit, I didn't know about this. And now I am so hungry to know more. George Bernard Shaw once said, if you're gonna tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you.
Today's guest is Amanda Seales. Amanda is an artistic intellectual who fuses humor and the arts to entertain and educate. She seamlessly weaves together the scholarship of a master's degree in African American Studies from Columbia University and an unwavering dedication to social justice with her skill set as a comedian, host, writer, radio personality, visual artist, and more, creating an ecosystem of original content under the banner of her independent entity, Smart, Funny, and Black Productions. Miss Seales is forging a path that combines media, education, and artistry to shift culture and strengthen community. Amanda, welcome to the Palestine Pod.
I am so pleased to be here. Shukran.
Aw.
And
Afwan, we are so honored to have you.
I've been doing Arabic on Duolingo for almost 365 days. And so I try and throw in my little words as much as I can.
How many words do you think you know now?
I know a lot of words. It's really just like how it's using them in real time. That's the next thing I have to do is like really be talking. And then learning when is it ending with a k? When is it ending with a e? When is it, like if it's you, it's like,
yes.
Kelbeck, that's your dog.
That's my dog, yes.
If it's my dog, it's Kelby, right? So
that's so good.
I'm so impressed.
And if the dog is sleeping, it's El Kalb Naimi.
See?
El Kalb Naim, yes.
I'm so close, Dan.
You were so close, but that's like, why would you even know that?
I know stuff. I don't know stuff. You know what I mean? Come on, I can know stuff.
Yes.
I can be practicing my Arabic also. You see the shirt? Come on.
This is true. Let us not shade you in any shape, way, or form. Correct.
Shukran. Habibti.
Amanda, you have not slept, I think, also for the last year.
That's correct.
I feel like you have done
and even before that.
Yeah, I don't know about before that, but but I can say this last year, there was not a day that I went on your Instagram page that there wasn't 100 stories already lined up.
And at least 3 grid posts.
You poured your heart and soul into it. And I could really tell that you were struggling to educate your audience on what was happening in Palestine.
It was so many things happening at once. It was like, I'm educating my audience. I'm educating myself. I want to show up for Palestinians. I want to say, fuck these motherfuckers. We're doing this on a rabid Zionists platforms. And then also like educating the folks who want to be educated, because there were folks, because there's 2 parts of the audience, right? There's the audience that's like, I don't need to know about this. And I'm like, you're going to fucking know about this. There's the people who are like, oh shit, I didn't know about this. And now I am so hungry to know more. And there's on a basic level, it was just an awakening for me. In so many other ways too. Like I will forever be in debt to Palestine and the Palestinian people for really awakening me to a spiritual foundation. Like I found my connection to my spirit foundation there. And I mean, through not there because I didn't go to Palestine, but through witnessing the connection that Palestinian people have to their spiritual foundation, whether it is, Muslim or Christian, etc., like a very shared connectivity in that way that I have always said was really stripped from Black people when they came to this country and has been very effective in continuously stripping us from our connectivity or even our acknowledgement of our own indigeneity in this country, which is what I want to do my whole PhD on, but that's another conversation for another podcast episode. I also learned about just the truth about this country, about the United States. And I'm not somebody that's afraid of the truth. I just didn't know. But then I also found out maybe you kind of were afraid of the truth. So then I had to get real with myself about that. And I will always be appreciative to people who encourage and force realness upon me, because it's always going to get me closer to something more pure. So in the horror and the destruction and the degradation of the Palestinian people, there's been so much growth for me and so many people. And it's not something I take lightly. So it felt like every day I need to do at least something in the way of spreading information, whether it's information just to know, information to cause action, information to donate, et cetera, et cetera. And then at a certain point, there was an active effort to defame me and to discredit me. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad I did that shit every fucking day until this point. Because I was like, it's going to come. This point is like, I don't want to be one of these people that's not saying shit because I'm avoiding it. I want to say it as much as I can for as long as I can before they shut my shit down. And then they had a thing where, like, when you follow me, well, it's still there. When you follow me, it says this person spreads misinformation. And I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
I fucking did it.
They'll hit you with the partially false information, right? And they'll tag the post.
Yeah.
And then it'll take it to a third party that is probably a Zionist source. You know what I mean? It's like Mossad.com is the source. And it's like, oh wow, okay, great. So like that's who we're trusting with the partially false information logo. Like,
I posted a photo of a Chinese archer that was like dressed in however they were dressed. Like the photo had been like turned into a Palestinian flag, and they flagged it as wrong information. China has actually not done a photo shoot with Palestinian flag colors. I was like, wow, y'all are on your job.
Northern Lights were actually in Palestine's colors in the last few days. So the whole universe is on our side.
I would love to see the same energy for the AI generated images and videos that are released by the Israeli occupation forces, justifying the invasion and destruction of Al-Shifa Hospital and the invasion of Lebanon by saying that Lebanese civilians are hiding missiles in their homes and everything that they produce is AI generated, and it never gets that same energy. But anyway, that's a topic also for another time. It is so interesting how you said that Palestine revealed truth to you. And it was sort of a mirror that allowed you to realize what the US was really all about. And I'm just surprised to hear you say that, because if it's anybody that knows how nasty colonialism is, it's Black people.
No,
in
you're
America.
not. You're mistaking something. Majority of folks know how nasty colonialism was. So we are, down to talk about that and understand that and conceptualize that. However, they've been very, very effective at not contextualizing their current colonialist practices as colonialism. And as you know, I mean, the conversation around Palestine has been very shrouded in mistruths and silencing and threats for quite some time. So, I always say, like, people like myself, like, I try to be respectful of other people's cultures. So when people say like, oh, it's just too complicated for you to just like grasp like that, like, I'll respect that off rip, because I'm like, maybe it is too complicated for me to grasp like that. Because if you say some shit about some Black shit that I'm like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if someone does that, I'm going to say, like, maybe you're oversimplifying this. So for me, it was really like, I did not understand because I did not know. I was ignorant to the birth of Israel. I was ignorant to the birth of Israel. Israel was a country to me. Israel was a country. And I knew that it had a blue Star David on it and a lot of Jewish people be there.
That's not a lot of information. I didn't realize that. That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
weird because I thought that this whole
people.
time you're educating.
Yeah.
I
They
thought
don't
you were
share a
playing
ton of
stuff.
information about it.
No,
They
that's
try to
most
keep
people.
they try to keep the information that comes out of there pretty suppressed, because the more information people get about it, the more people are like, this
What the
seems
fuck?
wrong and totally fucked up. Yeah.
So like my stepmother is Palestinian, but it's not like she was like, so let me sit you down and tell you about the Nakba. Like that never took place. My stepsister in 2021 in the Al-Aqsa mosque, when they attacked the Al-Aqsa mosque in 2021, I was like, what's going on here? And also because of Black Lives Matter, I had gained a larger following of people who knew me to be someone with common fucking sense, right? And that following included a lot of Palestinians, not to my knowledge. And so when this happened in 2021 at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, people were like, why aren't you talking about this? And I was like, I didn't even know that I was supposed to be talking about this. And you know, let me tell you, folks get real forceful. Like, how dare you call yourself a freedom fighter? And I'm like, okay, easy. Please educate me before you scold me. Like, I'm not but then now in hindsight, I understand that they're coming like that because so many people are afraid to speak about this because of what could happen to their career, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there was folks carrying that to me that had no idea that I am not that type of motherfucker. I'm just not her. So that's when I really started my education. And of course, like Mark Lamont Hill is a good friend of mine. So I knew that he had been canceled because he had said from the river to the sea. But again, even at that point, we was kind of like, we were in like a beef at that point. So I didn't get to have like a full conversation on like, please tell me why this happens. It was more so like, damn, bro, like, I'm so sorry this took place. And then he, of course, went into his own hole just of sadness and frustration. But even in his studies with Palestine, it was more so like, oh, that's like a passion project for Mark. Like, I genuinely did not know that this was so interconnected with Black liberation movements. I genuinely did not know that this is so, and not just Black liberation movements of the 60s and 70s, but even with Ferguson. Like, this has been a well-kept secret, which is why my fervor and my vigor for education, because I feel like if I know something, it is my duty to share it if it's going to affect, you know, the livelihoods and help people. So yeah, that's so you just learned something new from.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No, because Lara was like, wait a minute, you didn't know this? No, but I also learned shit super duper fast.
Yeah, people were reaching out to you because of the urgency as well. That's why people come with such vitriol.
Yeah.
Is it because it's like, even in 2021, there was a genocide, you know? So like, people don't recognize that. People think, oh, it started like maybe October 7th or 8th, but like they literally have so much to learn. They just started their journey.
Like, that was when I remember I had a really good friend of mine who is Jewish. And we had a conversation about it. And I was just like, I just feel like everybody's asking me to talk about this and I just don't know the facts yet. And then overnight, I learned the facts because that's how long it takes to learn the facts. This is not a research paper. It's literally like a strong 7 minutes, and you're like, oh, got it. So this is also, if you have a framework of white supremacy and colonialism, it fits perfectly in that framework. I mean, there's no adjusting or hemming that needs to happen. So that by the next day, I was like, yo, I just found out that Israel's on some bullshit. And that same friend the same day posted on his Instagram that Hamas is a terrorist group. And I said he said Hezbollah. What did he say, Hamas? He said Hezbollah or Hamas is a terrorist group. And I said, you know.
He was like, we're going to bomb either one. We don't know. Whichever one is up on the docket, that's what we're going to hit.
So I said to him, well, you know, they say Black Lives Matter is also a terrorist group. And his next post was, people are speaking about things that they shouldn't be speaking about. And we've never spoken again. I think maybe we spoke one more time and I was just like, I don't want to speak again. So that's also where this one woman show, What Would the Ancestors Say, came out of. Like, I left Instagram because it was no longer a place for me to actively educate. And I also realized I was losing my fucking mind. And I was dealing with a level of meanness on a daily basis that no one can really manage. Like, it's just not practical. And I had to really disengage and come back to myself and which also brought me back to the art. And George Bernard Shaw once said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, if you're going to tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you. So I said, let me lean back into what I do best, which is the art, and get out of this talking head, influencer place and space that I never set out to be in, but just the mantle was raised and I took it. And let's go back to the stage. So my one-woman show, What Would the Ancestors Say, does speak about this path to Palestine for me and how connected it is to us, to Black people in America. And I feel like part of the reason why I've been targeted by Zionists, by Kamala Harris's following, et cetera, is because my audiences over the course of my comedy tour started to be very diverse. And it went from just having Black faces to having Arab faces. And it went from people in, lashes and hoodies to keffiyeh and hijab. And I was honored to be able to be a bridge in that way. And they saw that and they said, so we're going to shut this down. So they got my shows canceled and they hacked my ticket site. So I had to cancel that tour. So I lost $30,000, like actual dollars, not just like, I could make, like actual dollars that I had to lose in rental fees, et cetera, et cetera. So good job, Zios. You got that bread. But I said, we got to keep going. So I'm doing this one-woman show, which will be a live stream, and people can sign up at show.amandaseals.com for when that is going to premiere. Because I have to do things in these real, 10 steps ahead of them ways, because, they're trying to shut shit down. So it's like, you have to sign up here, and then we're going to tell you when you go here, and then we're going to do this. And then we're doing, look at Lara's face.
Because Michael doesn't even tell people when he's performing.
I know.
They've actually called every single venue I've ever posted, and they got me unbooked from an open mic at a coffee shop in Austin, Texas. It's like, how low, like an open mic? I can't even, I was meant to, I was like the feature act on an open mic.
Wow.
And then they called the venue. And I mean, I ended up performing at a better club anyways. Like, it doesn't matter. Everything's fine with me.
Nice.
But one of the things I've actually really respected about your career always is that you were able to focus on projects that mean something to you and find commercial success. Like, you were able to make it and keep your morals intact. So any words of advice to artists out there who are having trouble understanding that the role of art is meant to disrupt and not advertise products?
Yeah. If you're having trouble understanding that, then you need to ask yourself why you're having trouble understanding that. What infiltrated the waters for you? That's always what I've been raised on. I was raised on Bob Marley. So I was raised on Exodus, moving up job people, Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock Rasta, them belly full, but we hungry. Like, this is what I was raised on. And then, my mother's from Grenada, and Grenada is a revolutionary place. I mean, we just don't play about with that. And so that's always been at the core for me. I'm also autistic, so I have a real rigid mindset about things. It's like, no, this is this. No, that's not that. Apartheid is not a discussion. It's not negotiable. Like, I loved when Ta-Nehisi Coates is like, it's either good or it's bad. It's not like dark chocolate that has 70% apartheid, 75% apartheid, 85%. Like, there's no spectrum. It's either here or it's not. So
it is like chocolate in that they're both fucking up Africa. So,
ooh, nice. Mic drop. Yeah, you're out. You did it. You win. You win. I prefer to get my dark chocolate from Grenada.
Nice.
That actually manufactures its own 2 brands of dark chocolate.
Amazing.
But I will say this: if you're making art for money, then you need to acknowledge that you're not making art for money. You're making money by the way of doing art. And that is different. You're not an artist, you're a capitalist, and art is your tool. That's it. So you're not an artist, you're a capitalist. And it's important to make that distinction. And if that's what you are, then, that's what you are. But let's not make bones about it.
And if that's what you are, Huggies pays well, I'm sure, right?
I'm sure.
They also sponsor the IOF, right?
There you go. And if you're fine with that, so be it. Like, I'm just not okay with knowing that I am a part of problematic, harmful things. Now, there are times when you don't know, right? And so then you have to correct. But ultimately, as an artist, that's always been who I am. And I had commercial success because I really feel like it's so funny because the stigma about me is that Amanda Seales is unlikable. That's why she doesn't work. And I've been working consistently since I was 8. You know what's hard for people is being honest with themselves about why they're doing what they're doing. That's what's, I think, hard for people. Like, a lot of people aren't really doing what they're doing for themselves. They're doing it because they're trying to prove something to somebody, or they're trying to make somebody proud, or they're trying to serve some insecurity, et cetera, right? So like those are the driving forces that drive a lot of folks. I was really, really fortunate to not have the burden of trying to support a family. I didn't have the burden of being insecure about like my physical features. I didn't have the burden of like a mom or a parent saying like, you need to do this to make us proud. And so I feel like I was given the opportunity, because of those things not being there, to make choices for myself and to say, okay, I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. I mean, there were times when my mother would be like, I feel like you just don't care about money. And I'm like, I know that you're an immigrant and that is ingrained in you. However, at present, I don't care enough about money to host the Love and Hip Hop reunion. You are correct. I don't. So I need you to send me some money.
So many things I want to respond to. Wait, I want to ask you about this. Did you watch the episode of The Breakfast Club with Butch Ware and Dr. Jill Stein?
As much of it as I could.
One thing that's weird in that episode is they mention like maybe 50 times that there's a genocide happening in Gaza, and you get no reaction from anyone in that room. It's as if they're talking about the most ordinary thing, and they're sitting there trying to explain what's at stake here. And nobody responded to the point that was being made. I really struggled with that because this is supposed to be a space for progressive ideas. Okay, leaving aside, I don't know.
Since when?
Is it not? I don't know.
No.
If you sit down with them during the Black Lives Matter
on.
Yeah, but hold on.
Yeah, but being Black people talking about Black Lives Matter is not progressive. Being Palestinian and talking about Palestine is not progressive. Like, that's you talking about your people. Being Black on a radio show and talking about Black Lives Matter is not progressive. Like, that's just basics. So I feel like we're giving too much credit to just like that should be the bare minimum. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah, okay. Maybe I'm giving too much credit to.
It becomes progressive when you start having loud conversations about things that have been touted as conspiracy theories. That's when you become progressive. When things that have been touted and pretended to be conspiracy theories in order to perpetuate the practice are actually being discussed as they are, which are real things. Palestine being an apartheid state of occupation has been touted to the masses as a conspiracy theory.
And so there's no reaction. There's nothing. It's not, you can tell that they're saying it and it's not getting through.
They're not, I don't even think I think that there was a very clear goal on that episode. And the goal was to talk to Dr. Ware and to Jill Stein. Is Jill Stein doctor? Dr. Stein?
She's a both of them doctor.
Yeah. To talk to both of them about the Green Party. And I do think that Angela, who is a very staunch Democrat, was coming from the point of view of undermining the value of the Green Party. I'm not even saying that there isn't a reason to challenge the Green Party. Like, there is. All of this politics should be challenged. Nobody is excused. But I think it should come from a nonpartisan point of view. But nonetheless, that's why you didn't see that, because they're holding one thought in their mind in that episode. And that is, what is what are these people's value and are they undermining Kamala Trump? Oh, I didn't even need to say that. Kamala Harris.
I was like, oh yeah. That was pretty good.
I call them Republicrats at this point. They're Republicrats.
Yeah. Who was it? Was that Dead Prez who said that?
Did they?
Republican, or was it Sage Francis?
They said Republican.
The Republicrats, Democrats, one party system. Yeah.
We'll
that was a line.
Minds think alike. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's either Dead Prez or Sage Francis. I don't know. But yeah, someone's going to be upset that I forgot.
No.
Both listening.
Yeah.
That's what that's about, you know? It's unfortunate because they had an opportunity there. But, you know, that's why you come and listen to the Amanda Seales Show, which is my radio show that is syndicated that you can check out wherever you get your podcasts and in several major cities, including Philly, Houston, and DC, to name a few. And I don't mince words on my show. I mean, people were very upset about me because on October 7th, my commentary was fact-based reflection upon the behaviors, past, present, and plans of Israel. And people were like, how dare you center this day around facts about what Israel did before this day.
That was a great impression of Zionists. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I was like, oh my God. Did we? What? Spot on.
Acting.
Can we call cut? I am scared. Okay. That is.
The show. I'm acting.
Somebody book her. Somebody book this woman. Okay. Because that was good. That moved me.
But that's also why I had to start rethinking how I do my work because people won't book me.
Dr. Butchware described Blackness as an oppositional ideology to white supremacy, not just a box on the census. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Yeah. Because ultimately, Blackness. So I get frustrated when people are like, we are not just a color. No shit, obviously. However, it is imperative to acknowledge that this is the terminology because we are not at a place yet where we can move past the terminology because we need to acknowledge these people within this space are treated this way and we need to be able to clearly identify who those people are. And ideology is a good word because it's a broad word. It includes culture, you know, it includes art, it includes identity, and those are all very unique and multifaceted aspects of Blackness. And we continue to see that expand as we continue to see capitalism expand because Coonan has taken on like a whole new flavor. I mean, Coonan can be an actual like career path now. Like you can really just decide like, I'm going to do this now. I'm just going to be anti-Black and you can get hired. But I agree with that. I agree with his summation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he also spoke about how Zionism undermines the struggle for Black liberation. Examples include resource criminal Dan Gertler, who is stealing cobalt from the Congo, and Gilbert Biggio, who's been importing weapons into Haiti for many years.
I would use an example related specifically to Black Americans because I think being Black in Africa and being Black in Haiti do have their own unique experiences about how they relate to undermining of identity by white supremacy. I mean, they are stealing their resources, et cetera, but there's a very specific version of identity undermining that happens and ideology undermining that happens here in America. Like white supremacy exists in a very particular way in the United States as it relates to Black people, which is why our indigeneity as Black people in the United States is very specific and very unique, and which is why I want to write about it. I would use the example of the IDF trained police forces that are continuously carrying out the slow burning genocide of Black Americans that has been taking place since the post antebellum period.
Yeah. New York Police Department has 18 offices internationally. One of them is in occupied Jaffa.
Yep. And they take folks over to, you know, Israel, and they run them through mini Palestine. They've made a little, you know, like it's like how they have like mini Hogwarts at Universal. Like the fact that they have mini Chessa for people. How's my pronunciation?
Good.
No, my Chessa pronunciation. Like how am I doing?
So it's Gaza.
Gaza?
Yeah.
Gaza?
Yeah, it's Gaza.
Gaza.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's literally perfect. Some people, their problem is that they say like ha because they don't know, but it's actually like in the throat. So it's like it's like you're gargling.
It's a guttural.
It's like you're gargling with mouthwash. So it's Gaza.
Gaza.
You know, they call Gaza, they say Gaza Ard al-Azza, which is Gaza, the land of dignity. It's always been called the land of dignity in Arabic by, Arabophones all over the Arab world, because the word for dignity is just one letter off. So it's Azza is dignity and Gaza is Gaza. Gaza Ard al-Azza.
Gaza Ard al-Azza.
It's very close.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm American.
That's okay.
I'm working.
You're doing so good.
And how do you say Palestine? Can you say Palestine?
Palestine?
Yeah, Palestine. That's great.
Palestine.
That's
Palestine.
And it's like a hard T. It's not like a T, and it's clean. Palestine.
Palestine. It's behind the T.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We have a soft T in Arabic and a hard T, so it's the hard T. Did you go to Palestine by any chance?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
No.
Yeah. I'm waiting for you to go and make a documentary or something. It's gonna happen.
My life is just starting.
I know.
So
it's great.
Like that's really how I feel. Like my life is literally just beginning. Like it's been a dress rehearsal up until this point, and now it's like that number in. Oh my God, why am I blanking? Oh my God, Jesus. Okay,
take your time. No worries.
No, I'm blanking from. Yeah,
literally, we'll sit here and watch you think about musicals all day. Don't you dare stress about this.
We have nowhere to go. Actually, we have nothing to do.
Why?
Like, mashallah, it's beautiful watching you think and like just enjoy musicals in your head for a second. Like, great. That's what we call premium content. Okay.
Right now, and the fact that I am having trouble remembering this is when your brain is just like, I don't know.
We talk about brain fog all the time because we've all been experiencing so much stimulus that is like, it could shake anybody to their core, any one day's worth of stimulus that we all get every single day for the last year. And, many of us for years before that. Because there's been issues in Palestine and in the United States and all over the world before October 7th.
I still don't know the song. This is killing me.
Okay. You can let us know once you think of it.
Oh my God! Gypsy!
What is it?
It's the number in Gypsy.
Oh. Wow, we can't include that. You know what I mean? That's a slur. Come on.
Well, the song is about. I mean, the musical is Gypsy Rose Lee.
No, I know. Just a little joke, huh? Just a little.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes.
We rarely get.
I'm at that part in Gypsy where Gypsy's mother is like, it's time. The curtain's up. Like, we're doing it. Curtains up. And I will be in Palestine and I will rebuild Gaza. And close?
Yeah, Gaza. Yeah, you said
Gaza. I will be there. And I literally changed my life so that I would not have to rely on Hollywood. I changed my life so that I could still have money to help people and to, help my mom and to feel comfortable in myself and my art, to be able to support my own art, but to not feel like, oh, I got to do this commercial thing in order to balance. And, that was a real shift. I mean, I literally had to move. And I don't want to do ticketed shows anymore. After this show, I really hope that next year and moving forward, I can solely be in the space of being an artistic intellectual who is hired to perform at intellectual spaces, whether it be libraries or museums or schools or by organizations who understand that art as intellectualism is imperative to the movement for liberation collectively.
Let's go back to the one woman show. It's called
What would the answers? What would the answers? We always talk
say?
about the ancestors. This is a really big Black thing.
And it's never our, it's just the.
It's the.
Okay.
Yes. And that's actually a very important point to make because the ancestors number beyond simply just Black people. And there are so many souls and spirits who have come here before us that we are connected to. And they're also not all positive. So when I talk about what would the ancestors say, I am contextualizing that on a basic level of what would the ancestors that we so fondly speak of on a regular basis, like how would they respond to where we are now, having been the carriers of their work? And to be honest, I don't think they would give us a 10 out of 10 would recommend. I think their Yelp reviews would be quite jarring for many folks. And I speak about that in the show through characters, through history. I really try to paint the picture for folks of the reality of where we are, because I think the false sense that we have advanced is because people don't actually understand where we really are. And therefore, they don't know how much advancements have we made. And what our ancestors, as particularly the Black ancestors of the United States, were not putting their lives on the line to have access to white money. That was not what they were doing. And that is what many people consider to be their role in carrying on the work of the ancestors, is to have access to white spaces, to have access to white impunity, to have access to white oppressive tactics and behaviors. And that is what we have seen with the Zionist movement. It is the access to all of the white supremacist behaviors that were being used as anti-Semitic practices. And they basically align themselves with, well, if we can't beat them, join them. That is what Zionism is. If we can't beat them, join them. And I have never agreed with that as an ethos. If I can't beat them, I need to get more people.
Yeah, well, truthfully, that like Zionists were never in opposition to Nazism. Zionists always supported Nazism. So it was like, if you can't join them, join them. Like they always wanted to join. Like they never wanted to beat them. They were always trying to be them.
They were all, but okay, correct me if I'm wrong. They were people who identified as Jewish, even if not faith-wise. It was like,
you're talking about like Herzl?
Yes.
Yes, he was like a secular Jewish person who was giving lectures in auditoriums about colonizing Palestine in the late 1800s. Yeah.
Yes. And he was doing this in the name of Zionism. And he was looking at Nazism as, well, you don't like us, and we can use your hatred against you, essentially.
Yes. Well, it was like he was looking at them and thinking like, we have a similar ideology. Exactly. Yes. We could work together. And that's what they did.
You hate us and we want that. So
yeah, you want Jews separated and in like an insular community,
let's do it.
Kept to themselves, ghettos.
Let's like fuel our terror.
Little common enemy type situation.
Yeah. And I just am I really believe that my soul has been here before. And I believe I come back in various forms to check on this progress.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who claim that, and then like there are very few people who I feel it from, and you're definitely one of those people.
I appreciate that.
You know, because like I've been to a lot of places on Venice Beach, and they don't. I feel like I lost $30 for no reason, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I was looking for guidance, and what happened was probably exploitation. I don't know. Like, you know,
probably. Yeah.
But your soul, I genuinely feel, has been here before, for sure.
I've always felt like I had an uncanny sense of understanding about things. And the thing that was keeping me from living, I hate to say living my truth, but was a bunch of shit that had nothing to do with me. You know, like that's really kind of what being a human is. It's trying to chip away at like all the stuff that gets connected to you that over time ends up shaping you. And then you're like, well, I'm not even like that. Like, it's like Magneto walking through and then just all these metal objects, like just attaching to him. And then he looks like something else. And it's like, well, no, at a certain point you're like, let me reset. So that's where I'm at. And I attribute a lot of the catalyst for that to October 7th and to the absolute despicable cowardice of my peers. Like it made me have to not be that. Like I was already going to be who I am. And then it was like, oh my God, are y'all really not going to say nothing? Seeing them really be like, we're not going to say nothing, which then encouraged me to even be more steadfast about saying what needs to be said, partially because I was just genuinely like shocked at the willingness still to this day of so many, of everybody. That's why I was like, I got to get out of here.
Can I ask you, do you think that your peers were seeing the same images that we're all seeing? Or do you think they created such an insulated space where they just live in a different world where the genocide wasn't even happening? Or was it something more nefarious where they are witnessing children being shredded and burned and in plastic bags, and they see the mass graves, and they see the zip ties, and they see the torture facilities, and it's still not enough?
I think there's a range. I think there's a range. And I think, honestly, cowardice is really deep rooted in people's bones. Like, it's in their marrow. And I know that there were people that contacted me on the side to be like, oh my God, this is so terrible, et cetera, et cetera. But I've never heard them say anything publicly. So they've seen some, at least. And then you had people who told me that I was crazy because I was, attempting to care about something that I can't fix. And I said, I'm not going crazy. I'm going sane. So
yeah. You talked about how Palestine was an awakening for you as a person, and I feel 100% the same way. I feel like Palestine never needed me, like I needed it the whole time. And it started to free me as a person from the ideas of white supremacy, the ideas of colonialism. Like, then it allowed me to contextualize myself as a white settler in North America, right? And truly understand that, like, these histories have been repeated, and we still have the potential to stop what's happening here and also in Palestine.
Listen, colonialism is not new, right? And it's also not relegated to just white people, right? Like, Japan colonized Korea. So, like, when Malcolm went to Mecca, he had an awakening. And part of that awakening was him basically realizing, like, oh, like, it's not just a Black thing, like, it's a human thing, but not in the corny, like, kumbaya, I don't see color way, more so in the, oh, we're really connected, like the mycelium way. Like, we are like the roots beneath the earth. Like, we actually are connected. And even though we have our own uniqueness, there is a connectivity to our souls and to the fight. And so thus we have to connect to each other in the fight, which is the most dangerous thing for the axis of evil, which at this point I'm like, is the axis of evil aliens? Like, where, like, whom are they? When did it pop off? Where did the axis start being evil? And when I read and learned about Malcolm's awakening, I mean, it feels very similar to my own, of understanding that, yes, I am a proponent for Black liberation and for advocating for Black voices, et cetera, et cetera. And I am a part of a whole. I am a seed in the watermelon, and we're all held together by the flesh. Where did this start? Because that is something that I'm always trying to figure out. Where is the root of something to get to the root? And right now, I think many would say that the root of evil is capitalism. But I think that's also short-sighted, because
capitalism wasn't always around.
Exactly my point.
New.
It's new. So that's why I feel like it's short-sighted. There's, at the end of the day, there is simply just a consistent history of these humans being like, we're better than you, or we want your shit and we deserve it.
Because of some mythology that they've created. We deserve it because God said we should have it. And then how do you argue with that? I mean, when I first learned about manifest destiny, when I was like in middle school, they did not teach it to us with the outrage that it necessitates.
No, I will tell you that they didn't teach it to us with any outrage. Like, I didn't question it until much later in life, when I was like, wait a minute, we were taught about manifest, like, because it's one of those things that, like, you learn and then you just never need it again, right? It's like Pythagorean theorem. Like, I learned it and I've never again used Pythagorean theorem.
Wow, mathematicians are going to listen to this and lose their shit.
Like, I know that's weird, but I don't know what to do with it.
Shots fired at Sammy Obeid. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Sammy. But I do feel like it wasn't until I had a framework for what colonialism is that I was able to understand how manifest destiny is that. But they never teach you that colonialism is bad. In American, like, did you go to school as a young person in America?
Yes. And they
Do you-
never tell you that. They
Never.
never tell you
They
that.
use the word colonialism. They never state it as a problem.
You know, and I think this is part of the reason why you have such strong support for Israel in the US and in Europe. I mean, I live in France, and in France, it's not uncommon to hear political commentators and politicians say that we should remember the good things about colonialism. We built roads, we built hospitals, we brought education. This is like
a normal
thing to say in 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was telling me that she was at a dinner recently and someone said that to her at the dinner in French. And they were in Lebanon and she was saying this. It's like, we're literally in a place that was colonized. But I say all of that to say, I do have this feeling that we are here in a process. This human thing is a process. I don't know why, and I don't know for whom, but in that process, I just believe that the goal is to find our way back to the beginning. And I like to believe that the earth is the God that bore us, tries to tell us and scold us. And that's happening right now, actually. It's telling us and we are its children, and we are, which also kind of does align with the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the Quran. And I mean,
you're like too good at this. It's actually frightening. Do you speak other languages?
No, but I'm an actor and I'm autistic. I'm a
gifted... I'm an autistic actor. So
like Bismillah. Wait, no, say it. Bismillah.
Bismillah. Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Okay, so I'm going to say it all together now.
Mm-hmm.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Alhamdulillahi
Rabbil Alamin.
Bil Alamin.
Yes, exactly.
Rabbil Alamin. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Wow, perfect. Oh my God, Amanda Seales.
Really good. Yeah,
don't
really
convert
good,
on me, because then I'm going to start sweating and be like, you got Amanda Seales to convert? Oh my God, that would be such a success.
Well, I respect a connection to something greater than, because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Of course.
Like, there's just too many things that don't make sense.
This doesn't make sense.
Yes.
The only thing that makes sense, and this is what Palestinians in Gaza take solace in, knowing that God will bring justice. I mean, you have to understand that their steadfastness doesn't come from nothing. It comes from a very sincere and deep-rooted belief that there will be justice one day, and that it will be delivered by God, and that all of the oppressors on that day will wish they were dust. And that everything that Palestinians have suffered, every ounce of oppression that they have felt in this life, will be a reward for them in the afterlife. I mean, this is it's real, you know. And they say over and over, "Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil." They are manifesting faith in every single moment where they're experiencing that oppression, and in every moment when you see them go through these things, it's haunting how just the extent to which they are calling for their oppressors to face that reckoning one day. And it's like their oppressors don't even know, but the reality is all of that is being recorded. All of that is energy that is going out into the universe that one day will come back for them.
And that's why when you see videos of resistance fighters, they're always saying, this isn't being fired by me. This is being fired by God, right? They're like, I'm being used as a vessel. And this is a message from God to you. And I believe them.
Now, some would be like, well, why is it okay when they say God, but it's not okay when the oppressor says God? And it's because it's not okay when the oppressor says God.
Because God hates
That's why.
oppression. You're God and God of injustice and discrimination and apartheid and racism
Yes,
and land
that is
theft.
their
If
God.
that's your God, then you don't believe in God, because God loves justice and he hates oppression. At least the God of Islam hates oppression. He speaks about justice and forgiveness all over in the Quran. And justice is one of the central tenets of Islam, and it means no oppression against anyone. Right?
I mean, that's why I have the goddess Ma'at, the Egyptian goddess Ma'at, tattooed on my wrist. She's the goddess of truth and justice. That's really my, like, when people will be like, she's always arguing. She's always just, defending herself. It's like, because all I care about is justice. And I'm like, I want justice for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because we see a world full of injustice.
Yeah.
And if you are a person who is morally moved by that, you cannot just go on like everything is normal.
No.
It eats away at your soul.
However,
it eats away at your soul.
We have to identify in this new time, new ways to pursue that. And that is what so many of us don't understand, is that we are a bridge. I don't feel like we are going to be the ones who see the justice, but I do feel we are a necessary, integral piece that, and that should be enough for people. I really do believe, and that's what frustrates me when people are like, but what do we do? And I'm like, when you're asking, what do we do? You're asking me to give you a solve to make everything right now. I don't have an answer for that. We're so behind. So many of us are so behind. In the United States of America, as a people, we are so behind because we've believed the lie that this has been the place of golden honey for a very, 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 very long time, simply because we had access to material goods, like that alone. And that itself is in and of itself a lie. We also think that we're the smartest. We're the dumbest. We are the dumbest. We're not smart here. We're not smart in any field, right? Like, it's not just like academics. It's like trade, tradesmen, et cetera, like we don't even honor that as like intelligence and skill here, which is also not smart. So craftsmen, artisans, et cetera, like our whole shit is so yucky. Like, it's just so base, not base, but base.
There's an example of that. I literally walked up to a ghost kitchen yesterday thinking it was like a restaurant, because they're doing this thing where they have like a bunch of different restaurants all inside this basically Amazon warehouse.
Yes.
You go in and it's like you punch in a code. I didn't even order because I was so disgusted by the whole thing. I was like, I wanted a restaurant, like this feels like trickery.
It is.
And yeah, it's like there's so many people who go into making sure that food is good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is the cultivation of the food.
Right.
There is the preparation of getting it from the farm. Like, there is harvesting. There's all of that. And then there's like preparation of food, like literally so many steps. And they want us to be like, this is my Amazon code. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. So I know I'm sounding like super old, but I'm not feeling that.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm super old because I'm listening to like the classic adult hit station on the radio in my car. I got in the car twice and I Want It That Way was playing, and I decided this is my station. So that's how I know.
I can tell I'm super old because I'm starting to get nose hairs and I am giving them a fade.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Not even trimming them regular. Just give me a number 2. You know what I mean?
I'm super old because I had to get a back brace to move my boxes, because the last time I moved, there was a man living with me. And so he was moving the boxes, and now it's just me moving the boxes. And my back was like, I don't know who you think you are, but you need some support. And instead of getting a man, I got a back brace for support.
How are you still moving your own boxes? Like, you are, that's...
No,
okay.
like I had movers move the boxes to my house.
She did all of the moving.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was like not understanding. I'm like, there's how you're doing really well. Like, what?
No, listen, here's the thing.
Michael's like, you have commercial success.
I was like, I literally watched every season of Insecure. Okay, please do not play with me. Like,
no, I genuinely am very particular about where my things go. I do my radio show, The Amanda Seales Show. I do my podcast, Small Doses. I do my Patreon, which has been a really dope space that I've been able to expound upon because so many people are realizing that they can't continue to exist either in social media or even in their regular lives around people who do not understand what is happening in Palestine, people who do not want to understand the truth about the United States. And so my Patreon has become a space for a lot of those people to feel seen, to feel sane, and to have discourse without someone being like, do you even read? Because I don't allow that type of madness in my Patreon. So if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, go to Patreon Amanda Seales and be a part of the Seales Squad. So there's that. And then there's the One Woman Show. And the One Woman Show has required so much effort to find spaces where I could do previews so I could actually run the show, you know, before I do it, to find places to do it that weren't Zionist owned, which was not easy. I will say that I've been very super duper blessed to have people working with me that understand the necessity for my voice to be out here and that are, you know, sisters in that way. And I want to shout out the brothers who all used their connects for us to get a venue in Brooklyn, a venue in Philly, and a venue in DC in order for me to do previews. And this has been a labor of love for me as a creative, but then a labor of love for my community of people saying, like, we know that Amanda's work needs to be seen, it needs to be heard, it needs to be platformed. So if you are in Brooklyn, Philly, or DC and want to come to a preview of the show, then you should go to amandaseales.com. And if you are not and you want to watch the live stream, then you should go to show.amandaseales.com to find out when that's going to happen. Again, I don't want to have to sell tickets. I'm just so deeply against that. So if you know a library that got a budget or a or a museum or an organization or a school, etc., like that's where I'm at. Because here's the thing. I want to be able to do my art for people for free, like in the best case scenario. And those are the spaces that's why they have budgets. Like they get endowments and they get budgets and they get grants so that they can make stuff so that people can come see stuff.
The problem with those spaces is they are usually Zionist.
That is correct. And so you got to find the ones that aren't. So I found one in Memphis and I'll be there.
Great.
I mean, I literally had to step away from stand-up. Like I was in the waters of Belize last year after I had been blacklisted by Live Nation for the duration of the year. And it hit me, you were supposed to teach. When I'm in water or looking at water, my meditation is bring me forward, bring me forward, bring me forward. And what was brought to me to bring me forward was, oh, you need to be educating. And then the Zios in Detroit, they parked a truck outside with my face on the side of it.
They love that. They love the truck with the face. They do that all the time.
Hater. I was like, no, I'm not. And they did a whole email campaign, but that venue didn't cancel me. But then the Philadelphia venue canceled, and then my digital ticket sales was all very discombobulated, and I learned that they'd be hacking that. And I had to cancel that tour. So all of this has pushed me to also feel like I just needed to get out of even being under the heading of just comedian, because I don't even want to just be a comedian. I feel like in the age of idiocy, which is where I say we are, we need to bring back thinking as a practice and putting it in the art. So to circle all the way back, when you asked me at the top of the show, what would I say to artists who are having trouble understanding that art is supposed to be disruption? I would say that I am working right now actively to create a path that is very clear and that has a label to it, because we know we love a label. We need a label, but a trajectory for you to follow. I'm cutting through the bush, as we say in Grenada, cutting through the bush with a cutlass, so that you can follow behind me and call yourself an artistic intellectual, and people will know what the fuck that means.
As someone who's following behind you, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's a beautiful place to end.
Amanda, thank you so much for coming on the show. We so appreciate your thoughts, your perspective, literally everything you're doing all the time. You are a force to be reckoned with and somebody who I've looked up to for many years. So thank you so much for coming and giving us your time.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lara, as well. I really have been so fortunate to be connected to people like you over this last year. And I love the work that you all are doing. And I am really honored to be in a space with you.
Thanks.
We love you. Oh my God.
Folks, that's been another episode.
Sweating. I can't.
Please support, if you can, the debut of my one-woman show. So if you all are interested in checking out my one-woman show, What Would the Ancestors Say? Please go to show.amandaseals.com to find out when the live stream is taking place. And if you are one of the lucky folks that can be in Brooklyn, DC, or Philly, then you should check out amandaseals.com, because we will be in Philadelphia on Sunday, October 20th. We'll be in DC on Monday, October 21st, and we'll be in Brooklyn on Saturday and Sunday, October 26th and 27th, with live shows that also feature a meet and greet and a free gift.
Okay, well, that sounds great. And it's like a deadline for me.
We love a free gift.
To get it online to promote your shows. Okay, folks, that has been another episode of the pod. Thank you all so much for listening. Follow us on Instagram at The Palestine Pod. Check out our full episodes and sources at www.palestinepod.com. Send us an email at palestinepod@gmail.com, and look for us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/palestinepod. That has been another episode of the pod. Thank you all so much for listening. Have as good a day as you can.
Yes.
We can start telling people to join the Patreon. The show wouldn't be possible without a Patreon. You got to get on our Patreon. Support us on Patreon. You can, because like I've been watching all these other podcasts and they just keep plugging Patreon like all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to clip what you just did right now.
Okay.